speech entitled Admitting You Have a Problem is Step 1. Let me welcome Jeff Golden.
So with anything, admitting you have a problem is step 1. Organization. Problem. Organization is not an area that I would ever have guessed myself to ever do a speech on in my entire life. But here we are. For instance, if you were actually to walk outside my car, you'll find a lot of things. You'll find books under the seat, some books on the seat. You'll probably find a few golf discs tucked under the seat just in case, that opportunity arises, even though I've played that in about 6 months at least. Actually, you'll find organizational dummies even sitting on my seat. So organization is definitely an area where I'm still working in. So you can peek and just see that as you leave here if you choose. Before anyone goes organization, I can't do that. That's always been a lot of my bent. So I think it was just a bad excuse for unwillingness to basically do exactly what Randy said, not just put a load on and learn how to do it. My answer is you can. It can be a little challenging, but there's a lot of ways and a lot of resources you can use to accomplish this, and we're going to go into a little bit of that. So believe me, I'm not a pro yet, though. So reading this book by this lady, I'm like, wow, this thing is amazing. I don't know how you have all these categories. You ask yourself, why is a disorganized person telling us about how to be organized? It's a very good question. Because usually what happens is you wait until someone writes a book or someone gets to a certain level of attained status, and then you read their book or you look at them and you go, there's no way I can ever even get there. So I'm going to share with you some things that I've been learning in the last 3 months to 6 months about organization and just growing success in that area. And when I say anyone can learn these things, really anyone can, because I'm still in the process, believe me. First of all, you have to have a staging point. This means you need to do a couple different things. Some people like the paper. Go to Office Max, pick up like a Franklin Covey planner, something of that nature. They do really good with that. Personally, I like Google Calendar. Google Calendar is great. It's free, which is really helpful. And you can update it from anywhere you might be. So my wife and I both have Google Calendar. My wife, who is organized, I'm very thankful for her. She also was willing to switch over so that we could both do everything. So we can both update everything on our calendars, and you can basically lay the calendars on top of each other just by the click of a button. It's amazing. So it's a wonderful tool in that. So it's been helpful. I have a personal calendar, business calendar. We've done scheduling at points of guys in the office as we were. We've used it for a lot of things. There's even programs that allow you to check. If, let's say, I'm having a meeting with Aaron over here, I could actually send an email to Aaron that has all of my available times. And if I even change the times between now and then, it will actually update that. So when Aaron looks at it, he goes, oh, okay, well, I can meet with you at this time, but not this time. So great tool of trying to learn that out. So I've spent hours online before trying to find even a paid version that's as good as the Google Calendar. I haven't found one. So it's just a really well-designed program, absolutely free. All you have to do is just go to Google and sign up for it. Google also has a few other products like that they're just pretty helpful. The second thing after you have a staging point, where you're going to attack from essentially, you need a strategy. Strategy as to, mine is something I began working on at the office, and now I'm actually trying to work on it a little bit more in my personal life. It's essentially called a priority list, or what we call a P list. What you do first with the P list, you start out with a list of things that you're trying to accomplish. I call this the bucket. You just toss everything in the bucket. All the things you want to do, all the things you think you need to do, put everything in that category. Then from that bucket, what you do is you pull the things that are of highest value, and you start from the top and go ahead and slowly work your way down. To the best of your ability, stay within the order, because typically what happens is you create an order that makes sense, and that are the priorities of things you need to get done. And then if you're like me, you look at it and go, well, number 3 is a whole lot more fun than number 1. Don't do that. Just hold to it. It really is better that way. Again, if you decide to use Google Calendar, I promise this entire presentation is not about Google. But if you do decide to use Google Calendar, they also have a task list, which is absolutely phenomenal. You can create multiple task lists, and now what I do is I create items in my bucket, and then I can click and switch it on this. Click it on one screen and it pushes it over into the other one. Then you can slide up and down, reorganize. Excellent tool. All right, first thing, we had a staging point, which was get a calendar, get some sort of organizational software, or get a book, something. Second thing you need is strategy. Create a P-list, a list of order, ways you're going to accomplish things, so you're not just kind of spinning. Third thing, you need to implement. So the other two are absolutely worthless without the third. So implementation is always the thing that you read books and you got great stuff, great ideas, but you never close them. So this is a very important part. The entire speech, I mean, it's just, all of this is really absolutely utterly useless unless you implement it. You got to, one helpful thing that I've come across is you can actually, I know one of the things that Zig Ziglar would do in some of his old goal books was he would actually create a contract with himself. And so that way just the act of signing it, and I have mine actually stuck up in my cube just of trying to set goals and working on a few things like that. Just the mere fact of having to sign it yourself just gives you a little bit more vested in it. Also, if you tell one or two guys, I think Jake at one point gave a speech in which he said if you create a goal, there's this amount of percent, you kind of get it done. If you tell, there was multiple things, but the very last thing was if you write out the goals and tell someone about it, the probability increases dramatically. So that's a great way to do this. You can make a contract with yourself. I'm still working on my P-list at home. So my boss actually told me to even send my P-list from home to him the next 2 weeks just so we can kind of do that. I actually did that after writing the speech last night, just to make sure that I was able to remember to do that. Implementation, again, is a great way to create less stress, and it creates more creativity. I've always used the excuse of, but I'm a creative person. If I come up with a schedule, I'm going to be lacking creativity. But I found that it creates less stress for me, and also really helps me be creative, because then I don't have to, all the things that I know that I need to do, I can create it in systems, forms, and structures, and it makes it a lot easier. Without a willingness to implement, I hope the speech has been entertaining and informative, because it's of no value to you unless you use this information. So now you're ready to organize. First thing you got is you got your staging point. You have your calendar or something like that. Second thing you need is your strategy, your P-list or your bucket, or if you find another system that works for you, excellent. The third thing we have to figure out is just how the plans are going to work for themselves. Remember, as you begin down the road of organizing your life, admitting that you have a problem is the first step, but it's not the only step, and it's not enough. You have to have the guts to start out and the gumption to hold to it after a long period of time. Unfortunately, I'm not to the gumption part, so if you need to help get started organized, come get started organized with me, and we'll hit that place sooner than we both think.